Hey guys, now if that opening cinematic doesn't make this video hype, I don't know what will. We got a massive November update. These AoE developers, they've been doing some great work this time around on the patch. We got a huge update coming along. I'm going to do a quick run through of all the major changes. I don't want to make this video too long. I want to make it short, sharp, and sweet, sorry. And we'll get right into it. So, walls. Reduce the melee armor of wall foundations to 0. Makes them easier. Men at arms can get in there, do the damage. Palisade wall, so their build time is increased by 1 second. So they make it a little bit harder now to actually, a little bit longer to build those walls. So, for example, I'll throw one out there. If you want to throw down 20 palisade walls with a worker, it's now going to take you 20 seconds. So actually, the time has pretty much doubled. I'm pretty sure it used to be like half a second or even less. Maybe it was even less. I think it was maybe 0.25 of a second. So now you actually have to incorporate that into, if you're going to send a worker out to build 20 walls, he's going to be gone for 20 seconds. So your idle time is going to be up there. Uh, we'll move on to the next one. These ones here, yeah, okay. We're not too worried about that. Aztecs, major one, pretty big one here. Not huge, but so their villages now carry instead of +5, +3. So, for example, if they had every other civ normally can carry 10 food, these got with the Aztec villages, they can carry instead of 15 food at a time, they can carry 13. So any sort of nerf that hinders resource collection rate in a way, definitely is going to see some pretty much just anything that hinders resource collection rate is definitely going to see a nerf in that civilization, which is a good thing to keep track of. That's why I'm mentioning it. Aztecs no longer start with extra gold in the Empire Wars mode. I'm not too worried about that. I don't play too much Empire Wars, but for those who do, that's probably not a good thing. Jaguar Warriors reduced from 20 seconds to 12 seconds training time. So again, hopefully we see a bit more Jaguar Warriors because at the moment they're kind of obsolete. No one really uses them, even though they're quite a good unit. I mean, not that no one uses them, but now I think they're definitely trying to encourage to see them in more games. Bulgarians, blacksmiths work 80% faster from their previous 50% faster. Blacksmith and Siege Workshop upgrades now cost minus 50% food. So that to do their blacksmith and Siege Workshop upgrades, they're going to be saving on food. Their blacksmiths will be working a bit faster. I think the biggest buff there is the minus 50% food because the 80% faster working at blacksmiths, I mean, it's good, but it's not game changing. I think the 50% food is definitely something you want to be seeing as playing the Bulgarians. More food in your pocket, more scouts, more cavalry, things like that. Burmese, we're not worried about. Nothing crazy there. Celts, we're not too worried about. Cumans, we're not too worried about. Ethiopians, reduce the training time from 35 to 30 gold. The training cost, sorry, I should say, where the food remains the same. So 5 gold less, especially for a unique unit, that's pretty good. 30 gold's pretty nice. Torsion engines, Scorpion projectiles instead of point 0.5 of a tile width, they're now point 0.4. If you had seen at all my last patch update from I think it was Mayish, they did up they did buff torsion engines to point 0.5, but now they've toned it down again. So they must have thought it's necessary. We've got Goths. Loom can now be researched instantly rather than at no cost. So previously, before this update, Goths would start the game with Loom, which is massive because that means you could actually get out a whole extra villager while someone is researching Loom. Whereas now you have to now you can get it instantly by clicking it, but you have to pay the 50 gold. Whereas before they didn't have to pay it. So for example, Goths like to open up with their men at arms, which cost food and gold. So now when they're rushing militia in the feudal age or leading up to feudal age and hitting feudal age, they're not going to, instead of having, you know, four or five, four or five militia, they can only probably do 3 to 4 at most, and then and have to have more people on gold to be able to get their men at arms upgrade straight away. Indians have a pretty big upgrade here, so all stable units now have +1 pierce armor in the castle age and and then in Imperial Age again another +1. Whereas before they had only the camels, as you can see here, only camel units had the +1 PS armor. Reduce the team bonus damage dealt by camel units to buildings from +5 to point 0.4, which is okay, nothing crazy. No longer have access to plate banding, barding armor. Uh, not the best thing for them, but not the worst thing either. I think the biggest thing for them now is that the stable units now get that +1 armor, PS armor for free in castle, and then another +1 Imperial Age. So that barding armor isn't a huge loss considering now they have more PS armor. So scouts, their mid game scouts and late game hussars, knights, things like that, they're just going to stomp that early game archer aggressions and skirmishes. While their Sultan upgrade technology, fixing if you were captured relics granted 17% gold faster rather than 10% intended. So now they've just fixed that issue where now it actually works how they planned it to be. Italians, quickly mention the Genoese, they just produce faster now. Uh, Definitely isn't a bad thing. Italians definitely rely on their Genoese crossbowmen in a lot of their unit compositions, so being able to get a few more of them out quicker, not a bad thing, definitely a good thing. We've got the Khmer. Now the Khmer here, straight away, bang, a nerf. The work rate of farmers minus from -3 to -5%, so another 2% less slower work speed, gather rates, I should say. Reduce the bonus speed of battle elephants from +15% to +10%. So the battle elephants now move slower in combat, and their farmers are collecting at a lower rate, even though their farmers are busted because they don't even have to go to the town center to depot the food they're collecting. So it's probably not a huge nerf anyway, but definitely something they're trying to address. Tusk swords increase the cost from 200 to 300 wood, from 300 gold to 450 gold. Okay, so they're just making a bit more of an investment. That's not too crazy. Now the Koreans is something I really want to touch on here because the Koreans, their archer armor upgrades, they now get for free, which is crazy because now they can open up in men at arms into archers, uh, scouts into archers. Even their war wagons now get free armor upgrades. So now going into war wagon technology is even not technology, war wagon the unit is even better, and that unit's already pretty busted as it is. So definitely something you will be seeing a lot more Koreans being played, even at higher level, possibly even pushing them up to one of the best civs at the moment. Korean towers no longer gain the range previously granted in the Castle Age Imperial Age. Nothing crazy. The turtle ships move a little bit faster. They replaced one of the technologies with a new one, which now gives their watchtowers, guard towers that range. So now that they've removed that range, you now have to research it to get that range. That's okay. Not too bad. Ethiopia, Lithuanians, nothing crazy. Malians, nothing crazy again. Mayans, actually, this is something pretty cool. So the obsidian arrows no longer grants double the attack bonus versus stone walls, stone gates, towers, and harbors. Because the craziest thing that was happening that I've noticed is that like Mayans, if they got to 30 plus Arbalest, they would go around and just one shot everything. Like a squad of like 40 or 50 Arbalists, they would actually snipe a castle before it could even be built. Even with like the Spanish like build speed, like their workers working fast and being able to build things, they still just out damage it. It's actually crazy. So I actually quite like this upgrade, this nerf I should say, because it makes you actually have to, you can't just run in and steamroll someone now. If you can place your stone walls properly, some stone gates and your towers, things like that, they're not just going to get one shot by a group of arbalists, which is really nice. Portuguese, all technologies research 30% faster. Crazy upgrade, amazing. Works well with pretty much every composition they want to go for. So pretty much everything, all the technologies in their castle is going to be putting out that much faster. Kind of making their mid game stronger. Portuguese are a solid civ as it is, so that upgrade itself, that buff, just going to make them that little bit more solid, a bit more well rounded, even though they already are quite well rounded. Spanish just fixed a bug here. The Tartars, another one. Let me quickly read this one. Town centers will now spawn 2 sheep upon reaching the feudal age, and newly constructed town centers thereafter will spawn 2 sheep upon completion. So as soon as you hit feudal age, you're getting 2 free sheep. Boom. Which means now if you want to go early aggression, if you want to go early castle, you can. It's just cheaper, quicker, and easier for you to do so. And then every town center you make thereafter will spawn 2 sheep as well, which is just great. It helps with your wood economy because you don't have to be spending that wood on farms. You can now use your villages just to farm those sheep and then go back onto farms. Great, just really solid. Silk armor, increased armor bonuses from +0 +1 to +1 +1. Pretty much just making their units better in melee range against other infantry. Pretty good. I think not a huge upgrade, but okay. The Turks as well, so their scout cavalry, light cavalry, and hussars gain +1 pierce armor from the get go. So that pretty much means if you're going to open up with scouts, you're pretty much telling your opponent now, if you're playing the Turks and you open up with scouts, don't go skirmishers, don't go archers, because you're going to be doing nothing now to these units. So you're going to have to go, you have to force your opponent to go into pikemen. And if you get your own skirmishers, or I'd probably go archers even now, because considering scouts used to get pretty wrecked by archers in reasonable groups. But now with that extra +1, if you're playing the Turks, opening with scouts and then going straight into a few archers behind it, if you really want mixing in 1 or 2 skirmishers, or say 4 archers and like a handful of scouts, I mean, you should be able to dominate early game, get yourself into a nice position to go into mid game to late game, which is Turks are that's what they want. They want to get to that late game, and then they improve the accuracy of their Janissary. So that's pretty good too. Can't complain with that. Also, the Vikings. So their technologies, the chieftains, they increased the cost of that from 400 food, 300 gold to 700 food, 500 gold, which is actually necessary because I felt like that upgrade is so important for Vikings. Not important, but just so solid. It makes their infantry so much stronger against other like cavalry and camels. Whereas now, if they want to go into that, it's going to be quite the investment for them. Like 700 food, 500 gold in Castle Age. That's just going to delay your Imperial Age that much more if you want to go for that technology. So it makes, I feel like it's now they're trying to force Viking players to decide, okay, if I'm going for chieftains, if you go for chieftains, you want to be putting in damage. You want to get the damage in because you're investing into it. Whereas before, 400 food and 300 gold, I mean, it's not much. Pretty easy to get. It's not going to hinder your Imperial Age too much. Whereas now, you definitely have to think about it. Okay, what civ are you versing? Are you versing a heavy cavalry civ? Okay, I need my infantry to be able to stand up against that. And also, are you taking a lot of early aggression? Because if you're taking a lot of early aggression, you're going to want to obviously either, I mean, that's where you make that decision. Are you going to delay your Imperial Age, make your units faster by getting the Chieftain upgrade and allowing your infantry to combat the cavalry better? Um, really, like a lot of people would see that as a slight nerf, but to me, it's actually like pretty big because it changes your play style and it makes it a lot more of a situational technology rather than I'm getting that straight away because it's so cheap. Really good. And then down here they did some map balances and random map scripting, and they changed the UI, uh, which is something you guys can look over yourself. You'll see that once you load up the game. I'm not going to go too much into it. I just really wanted to go over the Civ balances because I feel like, me myself, I really care about Civ balancing and playing in 1v1s and the ranked ladder. So that's what I really wanted to touch on. I wanted to give you guys a quick intro to all of that, a good recap on what they've done and getting us ready and set up for pretty much the New Year's and Christmas, which is looking like going to be a good time. Got a good way to spend my downtime and enjoy and practice with all these new balances. So much more to do. Definitely want to try out all all the new buffs. Give Vikings a try. Give the Tartars a try because that sounds really fun. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. You guys take care. Have a good Christmas, and yeah, thank you.